ago, I came into being a paper crafter, and it was right at the end of the Carousel stuff from Maggie Holmes. And I bought it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. And it was impossible to find any more of the 12 by 12. And so I bought all of these little 6 by 8s. And right now I'm working on creating some Memorydex cards using that. And like naturally, I remembered to do this, like start this after I have already gotten going. So I should have been making a video all along. But what I am working on is having a little Ferris wheel. And then right here, I have this shaker with stars in it on top of some of the carousel paper. And then this is going to go like this. And then I'll figure out a sentiment of some kind or something cute to put on there too. And then on the back, I am just creating this little pocket with that zebra paper. And I just sewed some rickrack on there. And right now I'm just working on sewing around the edge to create that clean edge on there. And that way you can put stuff in the little pocket. So that's what I'm working on today. And while I'm doing this, my daughter, who's graduating this year, is getting ready to get her senior pictures taken. So it's kind of one of those weird days where something huge is happening. Like I remember so acutely when I got my senior pictures taken. I didn't mean to lift that off. Like I have 2 older brothers, and so I'd watched both of them go through that whole thing, and then just have my own daughter doing that is like, oh my gosh. So for me, it was a huge deal because it was a really signifier of growing up and like moving on. And so, you know, when did I get old enough to have an 18-year-old kid who's graduating from high school? Like, when did that happen? And yeah, it's surreal. We were just looking at some of her little princess dresses that she bought in Disneyland when she was tiny. And she actually pulled it out and said, I wonder if this will still fit me. And then she uncrumpled it and realized how absolutely tiny it was. And I just started kind of thinking about how that just seems like a whole different person, you know, because she's been the size that she is since like 8th grade at this point. So yeah, it's just an interesting day. So this, like I said, sorry, I'm just trying to get a little piece of paper here. Well, you can put something in there. And what I'm going to be doing with these particular Memorydex cards is they are part of a swap. And I needed something that was going to hold, it was big enough to hold like my name, my address, my favorite color, and my birthday. And so there's a lot of information going on here, not just my business card. So I had to make something that was a little bit larger than usual. And then this is going to be attached. Sorry. This is going to be attached to this. So those will go together. This is the foundation for the what's it called? You know, it has the wheel inside of it. It goes around. You know what I'm talking about, right? So anyway, like I have a habit of just kind of taking whatever Memorydex foundations that I have and then using them for other stuff because yeah, that's just how I roll. And so what I have here there's a layer of just pink cardstock in between. And then I sewed the front and the back to each of them. And then there's a layer of the Maggie Holmes paper. And then this one, of course, has the pocket on there too. So, and then I'm just going to glue those together when the time comes. But for now, I was going to put together one of the little Ferris wheels with you. So there's 2 for these each. There are 2 of the wheels that I glued together, because it was really like I felt like it was too flimsy, because when it's done, where's the one that I already have, the prototype? When it's done, it's going to sit on top of that here, and then the memory, or this is going to be sticking out the top. And so I'm just a little bit worried that if it was just a single layer, it'd be too floppy. And then I tried this foam, and when I was putting the foam on, I couldn't get it exactly right. Like it was always sticking out around the edges and stuff. And so I nixed that idea and decided, and you know, like sometimes when you pull foam off of the dies, it just like, it kind of stretches out and misshapens. And so that's what happened on this one. So I decided not to do that and just decided to cut out another batch of the cardstock wheels. So that's what we're going for. And then the other thing that happened was I had made a pink, like the star in the middle. I made a pink one, but I was so glad that I tried it out. When I laid it on there, it just made it so it disappeared. And so I went with yellow instead. Okay, so we've got a yellow star. Sorry, I'm just trying to like make sure that I'm working in frame here too, so that you can actually see what I'm doing. And I need the stand, and I cut that out of like some gold foil off of Amazon. And that's all I need for that part. Oh, and then I need the wheel. And then there's also the cars that I'm going to be putting on there too. A whole bunch of cars just kind of chilling in the bottom here. It was kind of annoying when I was making this because when I was cutting it, the little carriage is right here in the die, and you only get one. But for each carousel or each Ferris wheel, you need more than one of those. And so I had to spend some time cutting those out. So every time I cut one of these shapes, I also cut one of those. And I think I have enough for 4 for each of them at this point, and I think that will be fine. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue down this first, just the centerpiece. And I was positioning it so that I could see the 2 of the rungs, or whatever that's called, in there between the legs of the stand. So like that. And then after I got that on there, I'm just going to lift up the legs and then just lay down a dot of glue on each of those like that, and then just lay that on top right there and hold it. And I like to use art glitter glue. I'm not sponsored, but this is the glue that I love. It tacks really fast, dries quickly, and it's just become my glue of choice. Sorry, I'm trying to like, how can I allow you to see this well? And my hand is always in the way. Okay, we'll just do it this way then. Boop, boop, boop. And the nice thing about a Memorydex card is it's not going to be out, you know, holding down some plants or something. It doesn't have to stay on a house. It's going to be inside in a fairly protected location. So it's not like it has to be, you know, like so solid and perfect that it has to last forever through the ages. It's going to be in a protected place. Okay, so I'm going to put that to the side. And then I'm going to take my star and turn it over. And this was a little bit tricky because you can see sometimes it's not attached to anything. It's just kind of floating out there. And so what I did on the prototype was I went ahead and just put a little bit of glue on all the parts, just so if there is something that it's going to attach to, it will have something to grab onto. And so I just am putting glue everywhere. So when I was a little kid, I was obsessed with carnivals, always. And you know, that's not very unusual. But there was this book that I had called the Easter Rabbit Artists or something like that. And in the distance in the story is the Ferris wheel that you could see, just the lights at night. And I was just obsessed with the story. And the whole reason I loved it was, I mean, the artwork in there is beautiful, yes. But the whole reason I loved it was just because that one page that had a Ferris wheel that looked like a carnival. And my parents tell this story often. Okay, so I don't get glue all over my table, and so that I can stick it everywhere, I'm just going to flip it over like this, and then I can get the glue on my hand instead. Stick it down and see, look, there's my glue. But anyway, my parents tell this story about when I was just tiny, like toddler still, and they were at a fair, and I used to also be obsessed with bunny rabbits. And they were at a fair, and they looked up, and I was just like running across the field towards the campers that were near the Ferris wheel. And they were like, I could just see my little pink hood just running across the field. There goes Tammy. So anyway, Ferris wheels have always just been one of those things for me that I just love. And I think that's a lot to do with why I love this this collection, is because it is the carousel and the carnival and all of that stuff. So anyway, I'm going to stop filming for now. I'm going to go ahead and put together all of these, and then I'm going to figure out how to attach them, and then what kinds of embellishments are going to go on each one outside of just the Ferris wheel. So anywho, thanks for checking it out so far, and I'll get back to you in a minute. And of course, it won't feel like any time for you because it's going to be just put together. So I don't even know why I'm saying that, but there I am. Those guys put together, and now I'm putting all the cars on. And my prototype, I know, right? Prototype. 6 of them is what I think looks best. So that's pretty straightforward. Pardon my puppy who's scritching right now. Just a little dab of glue. I'm just doing every other one. I mean, because we're not putting real people on this thing, right? And then I have one of these sticky tools, a jewel picker, because it just seemed like the easiest way to do this. And I'm just making sure that I turn those that way. Do you know what's funny about Ferris wheels? Is that despite the fact that I have always loved the way they look, I do not enjoy them. I have been what could be safer than going to the one in Disneyland? And by the one in Disneyland, I mean Disneyland, California, and it's got 2 sets of cars, right? It's got the swinging ones and the non-swinging ones. Well, I will never, ever in a million years go in the swinging ones. So even just the ones that are just go around scare the crap out of me. When I get in there, I just it just is so high, and then the wind starts going when you get up high, and it just freaks me the heck out. I do remember one time when my son was a baby, he went to the bathroom when he was in the Ferris wheel, and so as we were going around, we're changing a diaper. Like, that's parenting for you, right? Terrified on a carnival ride, changing a diaper. Anyway, I just wanted to change the angle for one thing, and then just get these guys stuck on there. Okay, so, and then after this, oh, whoops, I do have glue on there already. After this, it'll be time to kind of put it together. So I'm going to turn off the camera again, and then mess around a little bit with what we're looking like. Sorry, I got to make it look like gravity's actually in charge and not just messed up gluing. That's one thing about, oh, whoops, the art glitter glue is it tacks so quickly. Sometimes it can be hard to work with. Okay, we're looking good. I'm happy with that. Are you happy with that? I hope you're happy with that. Okay, so I'll be right back and we'll start putting these together. So we're at the final steps of this. Obviously, I've been playing around a little bit and figured out kind of what I wanted to do. And I was really questioning if I wanted to do more, but I kind of like, you know, how busy and simple this is. And so I think that this is what the final product is going to look like. Just, you know, straightforward. Little carousel, not carousel, Ferris wheel on the front with a little sentiment, and then on the back I included one more sentiment on the pocket there. So I'm just going to put this together right in front of your very eyes. So I'm just kind of waiting and making sure I'm going to use my glue gun just because it seems a little more straightforward. One of the things that I'm being really careful to do is to make sure that my stars are evenly distributed before I glue anything down, just because once the glue gets on there, it kind of like is secured, and the stars can still shift around, but not to the same degree that they can, you know, before the glue. And so if I started out like that, that's fine with me. And the trick is, like, I can't get it on one side or the other, like, and split it down the middle. So there's going to be some that are just like trapped behind there. And I'm gluing it so that the feet end up on either side of it right there. And so my focus at first is just going to be to glue that down, and then I'll go back in and tack down the these two guys right there so that it has like the security right there. And I'm kind of like this star right here, it gets a little bit hidden, but I still like the way it looks. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with the way this has turned out. I've had this die for a very long time. I don't even know where I got it from, but I see a Ferris wheel and I'm like, that is going to be mine now. Thank you very much. Snatch. And so it feels good that I finally used it for a project. And it's a pretty easy die to use. I'm sure that a lot of you have already seen this die before, so it's not anything just really out there or anything. Okay, and then squish it down just like that. Okay, so, and now I'm gonna go back in and then just lift this up a little bit and put some glue just behind the car there, and glue that down right there so you can still see the star right there behind the mesh. And then like a little tiny bit of the glue came out, so I'm just gonna snip that off, because once I get everything put together it gets trickier to get rid of all that. And then do the same thing over here. So not only is that securing the Ferris wheel down, it's also securing the little car down too. Okay, so that's on there now. And so now I'm going to take my sentiment, Wonderful You, and I'll put that just right underneath the dial right there. Is it centered? Does that look right? Okay, it needs to come over just a touch more. The interesting thing, this is from the Garden Party collection from Maggie Holmes. And I love, like, this has been, I literally bought probably like 15 of these, because pretty much every sticker on there is a good one. And then I added some pink stitching to this, so I'm going to put that on there. Because not only does it add some texture, but it also just secures the Ferris wheel even more down to the card. And since you can't use a whole lot of glue with this because the Ferris wheel is fairly delicate, having the ability to stitch it, I think, is nice. Okay. Snip my tails. And then, let's see. Get my tweezers here. So I can pull that one and snip that as well. Okay, so that's the way the front looks. And I realized after the fact that I could have made this so that this would be a pocket that could open up, but I'm fine that I didn't. So I can use Be Happy or Think Happy on the back. I think I'm just gonna go with Think Happy. And I am gonna put a little bit of glue on this. I never fully trust stickers to stay down by themselves. And so I always secure them down with a little bit of glue. I got confused there for a second. Okay, put you right there, friend. Just so there's a little extra something. And I used hot glue to put this one together. And I can't tell if I'm happy with that or not. But I'm gonna go ahead and do it again just because of the instant gratification component of that. So I'm gonna make sure that I stick these parts down really well. And then up here, and I'm just mostly trying to just get it on the thread and then gobs them up in the middle. Okay, so now go fast. The most important part. Okay, get that, and I'll squish it down. And voila. Okay, I've got some glue that's stretching between there. Not liking the look of that. Not that anybody's gonna see it, but it's just nice not to have it there. And then I've got some other glue right there. I have this little piece of scrap chenille that it's so good at cleaning up that gold. All right, so you can see that my stars, you can still see all my stars back there. They're pretty well distributed throughout the stitching on there. And then I'm just gonna keep on going through and kind of picking it, little bits, snipping this, snipping that, things that pop out that you can see around the front. And then do the same back here. There, I think I'm pretty happy with that. So the stars still like shake around and do all their stuff, and then there's the Memorydex. And all that's left to do is to put my information in the back there, and it's done. So thanks for hanging out with me while I, didn't necessarily share it with you as I first started, but I definitely finished it up with you, and I think that it turned out pretty darn cute and finally used up some of my Carousel themed paper. Cheers to you. Have a great day and have some fun crafting, my friends. Last I've been here, we had this. Super cute. Love it. Great. Whatever. And then I started looking at that little center hole, and I thought I can do like a little sequin jobber on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that on there, and just constantly changing things up. So this is like a super simple, cute little way to add a little va-va-voom, as my dad would say, to something. The first thing that I'm going to do might seem silly, but it's so much easier than trying to poke a hole with just your needle, is I'm just gonna take my sewing machine, center my needle, and poke a hole right there. And I took the thread out of my needle, and it's centered enough, okay? Okay. So next, I tied a hole in the back of this little piece of thread, but what I found when I do this quite often is the sequins start to kind of droop a little bit, and so I'm just gonna put this little knot off to the side
And then I'm gonna take my, you know, this is like the most handy dandy tool, my Cricut spatula, and I'm just gonna press it down. And then it's a nice little flat, and it's attached right to the card there. And my thread's coming through. And then I'm just gonna start layering a couple of sequins. So this is my biggest sequin that I have right here. Fortunately, it's blue. So that's gonna be my base. And then I can just throw whatever I want on there. I think I'm gonna do one of these really pale yellow guys next. Put that on. It's like almost white, but then it has the iridescent on there. And then on top of that, I'm gonna put one of these little flowers. These flowers do have cups, so they like are folded like a traditional sequin. They're not flat. And then, whoops, oh, didn't mean to bend that little car. So then that kind of just gives a place for that flower to pop out of. And then I'm gonna do this little white on top of there. And last, on this one I did white, then gold, then yellow. I think I'm gonna do white, gold, then purple on this one and see how that works. And so I've got this little gold one I've graduated to. And on this one I also put two different flowers, but then they wanted to combine a whole bunch and it took a whole lot of work to get them to separate. So I'm doing the white, the gold, and then I'm gonna do a little itsy bitsy purple right here. This is one of those things I learned from Shara Crane when I was part of her Patreon, was just like using sequins in this way. And it just like, it's so cute. And so I think that it works really well in the center of this little Ferris wheel too. Let's see, do we like the purple? Yes, we like the purple. And then last is this little bead. Just have some little seed beads here. I'm not particular about the color. Any of these colors will work as long as it fits over the eye of the needle. These seed beads are so tiny that they often do not fit over the eye of the needle. Let's see. So that one does not. Perfect. Great for showing you. What about this white one? Does it? Yes, it does. Okay, so put this guy back. So that's a good one for a shaker. Not so good for this, because I picked like the skinniest needle possible here. I don't know if I could have a skinnier needle. Okay, so now I'm just gonna chase that back through all the holes. And there we go. And then I'm gonna do a quick little tie off right here. And I'm not gonna be like super duper worried and careful about tying it perfectly, like I said, because I'm just gonna go back in with my hot glue and I'm gonna squirt it right on the hole this time. And back with my Cricut spatula, squish! You know, anything metal works. I know that like the Dollar Tree sells something that you can do that with. I don't know, I don't own one. So there is my little center, and it doesn't add a lot, but at the same time it really does. And now I'm gonna have to figure out how to, sorry, I just noticed this leg is wanting to kick up. You are not a can girl. Nay, you are not. Okay, so anyway, I need to figure out how to add one to this because this is already put together. I actually have two of these. You may have noticed that I am like mass producing these. Whenever I make anything, I make extras. Like if I'm making one, I make 6. If I have to make one, I make 4. If I'm making 4 of something, I make 6. And that way, if I mess up on something, I'm not just like, oh my gosh, I messed up on something. And then like with these, what I'm planning on doing is one of my friends and I were doing a Memorydex card every month with our monthly swaps. And what I'm planning on doing is, because I make extras every month, is at the end of the year, I'll have this really beautiful collection of thought out memory cards that I can put in my Etsy shop. So just kind of gaming my own system. So what do you think? I think that's cute. And I think that that's something that is going to have to happen on all of them. Darn the hot glue strings. They just drive me nuts. I know that some people are really like particular about what hot glue they get. I just keep on going back to the Dollar Tree. See? Dollar Tree hot glue. Oh crikey, it didn't end up perfectly aligned. So I'm just gonna go through with my scissors. Snip, snip here, snip, snip there. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I dance with a particular dance company, and the tickets have just gone on sale and they get sold out really fast. And so everybody is texting like, make sure you get your tickets to the May party. But I'm not gonna go because I've just been insanely busy lately. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. So anyway, this is what I ended up with as compared to this. And I don't know about you, but I do prefer this one. I think it's super cute. So now my friends, it's really done. It's really for realsies done. I don't think that there's anything more I can even do to this to adorable-fy it. So there we go. Thanks again for chillaxing with me and creating and, you know, just doing what we do, having fun making stuff. Talk to you soon.